30% voter turnout up to 3 p.m. The PNP's Norman Scott is accused of slapping JLP Election Day worker in the face. The Financial Investigations Division denounces as false social media reports that has outcharged the Prime Minister. Prime Minister Holness rejected claims that the JLP's plan to double the minimum wage was to counter the PNP's income tax threshold promise. In news from the rest of the world, Dr. Irfan Ali re-elected as president of Guyana. Putin says Russia will achieve all aims militarily if Ukraine does not agree to a deal. In sports headlines, reggae boy Kyle Duncan pleads with call-up to the national squad. And later in our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, it's Nationwide's general election results show in the race to 32 which party will cross the finish line first. All of these and more as we take you home on air, on your mobile, Nationwide 90 FM, nationwideradio.com, and on the Nationwide app available on the Google Play and the App Store. This Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday, September 3, 2025.
News at 5 teasers were brought to you by Advanced Scales and Equipment. Service is our total commitment.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now the details. The polls are closing in Jamaica's 19th general elections. Up to 3 this afternoon, voter turnout was 30.4%. This is according to the Electoral Office of Jamaica, EOJ. The EOJ says for the local government by-elections turnout, it was 27.35%. Voting began at 7 a.m. at over 7,200 polling stations across the 63 constituencies. More than 2 million Jamaicans are eligible to vote in today's national polls. 4 registered parties contested the elections. They are the Jamaica Labour Party, the People's National Party, the Jamaica Progressive Party, JPP, and the United Independence Congress, UIC. The EOJ says reports of long lines at some locations were the result of a significant number of electors who turned up to vote without their voter ID card. Those electors had to undergo alternative verification procedures. Meanwhile, local observer group Citizens Action for Free and Fair Election, CAFE, says it deployed 32 roving observers and 470 indoor observers for today's general election. CAFE says 94% of polling stations opened on time. Only 7% of the polling stations reported any disruption to the voting process. CAFE says its investigations revealed that these were minor in nature, while only 2% of observers reported any disorderly conduct. Now, there were long lines at polling stations across the island today, which left many voters waiting for longer than expected. Some got frustrated and left without casting their ballot. More in this report from Gianni Willie.
Hundreds of Jamaicans showed up to polling stations today, expecting to spend no more than 30 minutes in line to cast their ballot. But for many, the wait went up to as much as 3 hours. One frustrated voter from Edgewater Portmore in southeast St. Catherine believes the EOJ failed to adequately prepare election day workers.
EOJ can't have 2 inexperienced people around the 88 line. That don't make no sense. Them inexperienced and 88 line are the biggest line, and them not run it right. That don't make no sense. That's a waste of time.
Another voter, Connolly Black, who is the past president of the PNP Youth Organization, described the experience as frustrating. But she said she was committed to getting her ballot in the box.
It's been really frustrating. Had I not wanted to cast my vote today, I would have gotten frustrated and left. I've been here since a little bit after 10 o'clock, and I can count on my fingers how many persons have actually gone in and voted. There's a little bit more progress at this point because they have started coming out, giving the Form 11 forms, filling them out, the presiding officer assisting, etc. So that has assisted, but it's still very slow. Definitely not leaving the line. Still gonna be here. Still gonna wait. Still gonna cast my vote today. I'm hoping everybody does the same because it is so. Yeah, we're definitely determined to vote today, and we're staying in the line. We're gonna vote today. If it's 5 hours, we're taking. If the polling station closing at 5, we're going to be here till 5 because we're going to vote today.
And PNP's candidate in Southwest St. Elizabeth, Dr. Miranda Wellington, says the failure of voters to bring IDs contributed to the backlog.
We are seeing where many of the voters in some of the PDs do not have their voters' identification card, and that's one of the reasons it is holding up the lines. But we're also seeing where voters are willing to wait up to 2.5 hours, to cast their vote. We're also having to make arrangements for additional seating for some of our electors who have been there for over 2 hours waiting.
The long lines and wait time were also experienced by voters casting ballots at some polling stations in North Central St. Andrew, South East St. Elizabeth, and West St. Anne. Gianni Willie for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, opposition leader Mark Golding says the long turnover time for voters to cast their ballots is undemocratic.
People were outside trying to get in to vote. The voting was going very, very slowly. They were complaining about the people who are managing that aspect of the process, deliberately making it slow to frustrate them. And I was very sympathetic to them because the sun was hot. And it's the second time I've experienced at that particular location that problem. So I went there and I tried my best to encourage those who are working there to speed it up because it's not fair on the people. It's also very undemocratic to have people waiting for long in the sun to vote. It's not, that's not. The system needs to be more efficient than that. Yeah. I think it's the delay that's a problem. Yeah, and the delay does affect the result because some people won't stay in the line. Some people get tired and frustrated and leave, and so whoever they intended to vote for won't get the benefit of their vote. So that's a problem.
Opposition leader Mark Golding. To other news now, the Financial Investigations Division, FID, says there's no truth to a story circulating on social media that the division has ruled to charge Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness with breaches of the Proceeds of Crime Act and other corruption-related offences. In a statement this afternoon, the FID says the story is false, baseless and malicious. The FID says it has issued no such ruling, announcement or statement. As a law enforcement agency within the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service, the FID says it operates strictly within the laws of Jamaica. It says all investigations are conducted in keeping with established protocols. Any public communication regarding charges or proceedings is made formally and through legitimate channels. The FID is urging members of the public to be cautious in sharing unverified information from unreliable sources. According to the division, spreading misinformation not only undermines the reputation of individuals, but also erodes public trust in the justice system. The FID is reminding the public that official updates on matters under investigation are provided directly by the department through its website. Now, a reported physical encounter marred voting procedures earlier today in Southeast St. Elizabeth. A JLP indoor agent who identified herself as Julie Francis says she was assaulted by the PNP candidate in the seat, Norman Scott. The incident reportedly took place at a polling station.
I was working in the PD. I heard a commotion outside. I came out and asked what was happening. They told me that Mr. Scott is overstaying his time given on the premises. I asked them to give him time to leave and not create anything. I was trying to explain to him that I'm going to ask him to leave. I raised my hand to quiet them so Mr. Scott could hear what I was saying. As soon as I raised my hand to the rest of the people that was there, he hit me in the side of my face, the right side of my face, and broke my glasses.
Julie Francis, a JLP indoor agent. She has reported the incident to the police, but Mr. Scott says it was an accident.
I proceeded to enter the polling station. I held a gentleman right in front of me and blocked me my security detail came and tried to allow me to pass. By this time, a host of JLP persons converged. So in trying to move myself in, my hand would have caught a young lady, and that's about it.
Norman Scott, PNP candidate for South East St. Elizabeth. Now, JLP's candidate in Eastern Westmoreland, Daniel Lawrence, says he will win with a larger margin when the ballots are all counted today. Lawrence, who is going up against PNP General Secretary Dr. Dayton Campbell, spoke with our news team at Belmont Academy in the White House division in the constituency earlier today.
It is really sad today to see the level of intimidation and vote buying. But I still expect to be successful at the end of the day. Well, the slim margin 2020 is totally different now. We are now in a fresh election 2025. And as I said before, as long as the elections are fair, I will be victorious, much better than 2020. I think and I know that I have done enough to retain the seat for the Jamaica Labour Party, and with the level of enthusiasm out there, in an honest way, I strongly believe that I will retain the seat.
Daniel Lawrence, JLP candidate for Eastern Westmoreland. Lawrence defeated Luther Buchanan by 11 votes in 2020 to win the PNP stronghold. Meanwhile, the PNP's candidate in Northeast St. Andrews, Stacey Knight, says she's received significant support from residents in the constituency. Knight is seeking to unseat the JLP's Delroy Chuck.
The campaign has been tremendous. The support has been amazing. The groundswell in St. Andrews Northeastern. Up to last night, visiting my constituency office to collect their things and find out where to vote. People really want change in St. Andrews Northeastern. I feel it, I see it every day. I'm hearing that people are glad that they finally have somebody to vote for. It's promising some difference, not just the mundane catching potholes, but something new, initiatives that will leave a legacy. I'm looking forward to serving my first term, and then after that, the next one and the next one.
Stacey Knight, PNP candidate for Northeast St. Andrew. She has received the endorsement of former Prime Minister and PNP President P.J. Patterson. Patterson, who voted in the Shortwood Practicing School earlier today, says Knight will bring the right energy to Northeast St. Andrew.
I've just completed my civic duty, voting not only for the party that is going to rescue Jamaica, but also a candidate who will be my next member of parliament, bringing the requisite energy, understanding, and commitment to serve the people very well and ably of Northeastern St. Andrews.
P.J. Patterson, former Prime Minister and PNP President. Delroy Chuck has held the Northeast St. Andrews seat since 1997. And Jamaica Progressive Party JPP candidate in Southwest St. Anne, Clive Edwards, urged voters to give his party a chance. Nationwide News caught up with Edwards at the Bethany Primary School in the Alexandria Division earlier this afternoon.
JPP is not really a minor party. It's not a minor party, quote unquote. It's not a minor party. JPP is a strong party and we are coming. We are a Christian-based party and we believe in the Lord. So we go out there and we tell people like it is. We are not going to represent them and they see us just in election. You are going to see us. We will be at your doorstep. Yes, they have gotten promises like those, but we as Christians, we will not do that. We are not going to tell we are coming when we are not coming. So give us a chance. You have already exhausted the other two parties. It's just fair enough to give us a chance and see what we make of. And I know we will make a difference.
Mr. Edwards is one of 3 candidates vying for the Southwest St. Anne seat. The incumbent is the JLP's Xavier Main, while the PNP's candidate is Tanishka Williams. And it's now 5:15. We'll take a break. More news after these.
It's IQ Optical's sizzling summer sale. For this month only, get 50% off lenses when you purchase a frame. Kids get free lenses with a purchase of a frame. Make the intelligent choice with IQ Optical. Conditions apply. The time by IQ Optical is
5:15.
Rentokil Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rentokil Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rentokil is
30 degrees Celsius in Kingston and 28 in Montego Bay.
Attention motorists, it's time to switch to the T-Tag on Trans-Jam highways. Vehicles using the automated T-Tag lane are processed in seconds, so you can pass through the toll plazas far quicker. The T-Tag makes it quicker, more cost-efficient, and safer for our customers. So switch to the T-Tag today and experience the convenience. T-Tag packages are discounted by 50% down to $1,250, including a $500 toll credit from now on till September 5th.
Continuing the news, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness has dismissed the recent Don Anderson poll showing the opposition PNP ahead of the JLP.
Don Anderson predicted in 2011, he predicted in 2016, and he predicted in 2020. Yeah? Come on, I'm not going to discredit him. Let me say that. But I don't listen to Don Anderson. I have done my own poll, and I have stayed away from saying what the outcome of the poll is. Because you see, you can use polls to influence opinions, which is what has been happening in Jamaica for a very long time. But ultimately, you end up in an echo chamber where you start to believe your own, what your own polls are telling you in terms of the influence it has on people. And you don't want that because, one, not just the echo chamber effect, but it reduces the urgency of your supporters. People get complacent. So we did not release.
The nationwide Blue Dot poll released in late August gave the JLP a 13 percentage point lead over the People's National Party PNP. However, the RGR Gleaner commissioned Don Anderson poll showed the PNP ahead of the governing JLP by 3 points. Dr. Holness says he was not surprised by the 13-point lead reported in the NNN Blue Dot polls.
We did a poll a few weeks before the announcement of the election. We polled 23 seats. We interviewed over 25,000 respondents. So not a little poll of 1,000 people here or 300 people here. And we polled the seats that have shown historically the ability to show. And in 20 of those seats, we were significantly ahead. When we saw the Blue Dot polls, for us it wasn't any shocker, because that is what our polls also were telling us.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. And Prime Minister Holness has rejected claims that his recent promise to double the minimum wage was because he felt pressure to respond to the PNP's income tax threshold promise.
You would see in my manifesto that we indicated, but we didn't give details. Because as I tell you, I am a chess player. So we knew that they were coming with this because they have been trying to take our 2016 playbook. They don't understand the playbook. And I think they overplayed their hand. But one of the reasons why I did it, however, I'm glad you asked the question, because the PNP claims to be a socialist party. And socialist parties are more about redistribution rather than creation. So they take what is in the society and they take it from one set and they give it to others.
Dr. Holness first disclosed the proposal during a JLP mass rally in Spanish Town on Sunday. He says if returned to government, the JLP administration would double the minimum wage from $16,000 to $32,000 on a phased basis. The first phased increase would take effect in April next year. It would see the minimum wage move to $18,500. Dr. Holness is also blasting criticisms that the government is attempting to build the middle class.
The promise of giving 114,000 Jamaicans earning more than $1.8 million, $75 billion in tax relief, is taking from the people who earn minimum wage and giving it to people who earn much higher than minimum wage. And then to have the audacity to say this is a move to build the middle class. You can't build a middle class like that. You build the middle class out of the working class, meaning you support the working class. You give them the tools to climb the economic ladder.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. He was speaking with the media after casting his vote at Mona High School in Eastern St. Andrew today. Now, JLP General Secretary Dr. Horace Chang says he's unperturbed by reports that some people are seeking to buy the votes of JLP supporters. Abigail Barchley reports.
Reports are that incentives ranging from $30,000 to as much as $60,000 are being offered to some JLP supporters to stay home and not vote today. The JLP General Secretary acknowledged the reports, but he says he's not concerned.
That's a routine activity of all elections. All reports of individuals seek to induce individuals by various incentives, in particular cash incentives. In the bad old days, the issue of violence. Fortunately, we have had none on this occasion. So it's largely about of allegation that people are seeking to influence people by providing financial incentives. It's unfortunately it's part of what has been alleged in the elections all the time. So for me, it's nothing new. You get the reports. We seek to at least make the preliminary inquiry to verify or dismiss it, but usually there's, as usual, continuous rumors.
Dr. Chang told Nationwide's Cliff Hughes that he does not believe those efforts will affect the outcome of the polls.
The reports are coming across the country. I think we have some very alert candidates and some very alert workers. First, I don't think it will impact the day. What matters is how effective we organize. And we have put in place a very strong organizational effort for the day. The management teams are in place, and they require logistics and training of the workers at the stations have been done, and we are very confident we can deal with that.
Dr. Chang says the electorate are more discerning than people give them credit for.
I think the electorate, as I said, has grown and more mature. We have gone through 8 years of electoral democracy, voting within the constitutional time, changing government within the permanent opposition, and we stayed 5 years and change government again, running a government with a one-seat majority. In adjusting the economy, we operate with 7% NIR. Very few democracies have survived this kind of stress. Very few countries would go through no opposition in parliament and remain with the electoral and time and no challenge in changing government. We need our people, but they are far more mature, and I think those of us who lead have to start being more assertive about the role and the responsibility and the privilege of parliament. I hear them to these intellectuals who I think are plain sophistry and don't regard them with any value, quite frankly.
Abigail Bartley for Nationwide News.
Now, detectives assigned to the St. Andrews Central Police Division are investigating the circumstances surrounding the death of 5-year-old Jahir Spencer of Maple Leaf Avenue in Kingston. Jahir was reported missing on Tuesday. However, the search for the young boy ended in tragedy as his body was found early Wednesday morning. Reports from the Halfway Tree Police are that a missing persons report was filed when Jahir could not be found at his home between 5 and 8 p.m. His body was found about 6:48 a.m. in a manhole at the rear of the premises. The police were alerted and his body was removed to the morgue.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
In Guyana, Dr. Irfan Ali has been re-elected as president of Guyana. The Guyana Elections Commission, GECOM, today posted all 10 district declarations showing that he was re-elected. With the figure posted for District 7, the People's Progressive Party Civic, PPPC, gathered almost 243,000 votes compared to its nearest rival, We Invest in Nationhood Win, which secured a stunning 109,000 votes. The Win Party is just 3 months old. The Alliance Partnership for National Unity, APNU, has been relegated to third position with almost 78,000 votes. The PPPC has won 8 of the 10 regions up for grabs. Win 1-2. Now, President Vladimir Putin says Russia is willing to fight to achieve all its objectives if Ukraine does not agree to a deal. He made the remarks in China after attending a huge military parade seen as a challenge to Donald Trump and the U.S.-dominated world order. The U.S. president has tried to persuade Putin to end the war, but the Russian leader, while praising Trump's sincere desire, has refused to do so.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose Assembly and Supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour. Polls are closing in Jamaica's 19th general elections. 30% voter turnout up to 3 p.m. The PNP's Norman Scott is accused of slapping a JLP Election Day worker in the face. The Financial Investigations Division denounces as false social media reports that it has charged Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. I'm Audrey Gordon. You can find the news on our website at www.rivernews.ai and on the Nationwide app available on Google Play and the App Store. News next tomorrow at 6.
It's time for a new look.
And high time to get serious about protecting our home and investment.
It's time to choose BH Paints with over 60 years experience in quality paint finishes. Their products are superior and long-lasting.
Time to check them out.
Ask about BH Paint's 100% acrylic Ultima Plus paint and primer in one. Experience rich colors with advanced UV and mildew-resistant technologies, independently tested by experts. What are you waiting for? Visit a BH Paints Color Center today.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
In sports now, Sri Lanka beat the West Indies by 1 wicket at the College Cricket Ground in Antigua on Tuesday to level their under-19 50-over series to 1 apiece. West Indies made 201 all-out in 47.5 overs before Sri Lanka posted 204 for 9 in 48 overs.
Driven straight back to the bowlers. This field and it's gone past. Off into the boundary for 4. Sri Lanka under-19s claim victory by a solitary wicket in an excellent game of cricket. They started, they stopped, they almost fell apart.
Joshua Dome top scored for the home team with 82 against leg spinner Vignesh Waran Akash 3 for 30. In reply, Sri Lanka crept to their target with 2 overs to spare. Vimath Dansara led the scoring for the visitors with 45. Zachary Carter took 3 for 42. Match 3 is set for Thursday at the same venue starting at 8:30 Jamaica time. And that's your sports.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
Cubby's Baby Wipes is ideal for your baby's delicate skin, infused with vitamin E and aloe vera, and available for home or on the go. The time by Cubby's Baby Wipes is
5:30.
From Kingston to the world, from Montego Bay to new adventures, and from Ocherias to endless possibilities. Wherever you're headed, we will proudly take you there. Jamaica.
Want to save money and still protect your engine? Get Chevron Supreme Sin Blend Motor Oil, the blue bottle with a silver stripe. Now upgraded to synthetic blend, so your engine runs cleaner, longer, and stronger. Now available island-wide at service stations and leading auto parts stores. Ask for Chevron Motor Oil, your favorite blue bottle with a silver stripe. That's Chevron Sin Blend, your engine good friend.
Want to reduce your high electricity bills? Then Peak Energy has the solution for you. From grid-tied to hybrid solar inverters with full lithium-ion battery pack. Installation and maintenance packages available. Visit us at Shop 1, 3 Mosquito Valley Road, Red Hill, St. Andrew. Call 876-279-8820 or 944-0668. Or email us at peakenergysolutionsja@gmail.com. Peak Energy for everything solar.
Ew! Baby, you sick? Drink this.
Strong back tonic wine. But baby, you look like you want to sort out.
You think that's all Trangback good for? This delicious tonic wine has natural ingredients like Busy, Medina, Moringa, and more to strengthen your body so you can fight off anything, including viruses, where it sound like you catch. Available island-wide, all foreign. Order at 749-1286 option 1 or IG Trangback TW. Trangback!
Straighten your back for make the attack.
Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, is a financial reporting firm that delivers accounting and compliance services on time. Call us today at 876-908-0486-7. Email us at clientservices@cocnjamaica.com or visit our website at www.cocnjamaica.com. COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Jamaica's largest tile selection just got even bigger. Discover what's new at Active Home Center. With our latest arrivals, it's easier than ever to make your space truly unique. Explore ocean blues, botanical greens, and soft sandy neutrals that bring a calm, effortless vibe. From bold patterns to sleek, large format tiles in glossy or matte finishes, every room makes a statement. Shop now at Active Kingston and Montego Bay. Active Home Center. More savings, more choices.
I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Alan Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we're all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads podcast. It's a revolution in media.
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, "By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path." Unquote.
Welcome to Jamaica's most anticipated event of the year, 2025, the general elections. We have dubbed it the Race to 32. I'm your host, Cliff Hughes.
And I'm George Davis. Cliff, Jamaica's electoral history dates back to 1944, with the country holding, this being the 19th general election since universal adult suffrage all the way back in 1944.
The pre-independence years between 1944 and 1962, the Jamaica Labour Party and the People's National Party alternated power, with the JLP winning in the first election in 44. They repeated in 49. Then the two-term syndrome kicked in, the PNP winning in 55 and 59.
Post-independence, 1962 to present day, both parties have had significant wins, with the PNP dominating the 1970s to early 2000s and the JLP gaining strength in recent years. Notably, the PNP won in 1972, 1976, 1989, 1993, 1997, 2002, very impressive sequence, and then in 2011.
While the JLP won in 62, 67, and then that most infamous year, we will never forget it, those of us who lived through it, October 30, 1980, marking the most violent election in our young country's history. The JLP also won in 2007, 2016, and 2020.
Today, September 3, 2025, this general election is crucial for various reasons. Firstly, the Prime Minister, Andrew Holness, on the cusp of becoming a superstar among JLP leaders. Well, he's a superstar already, but he has the chance to win 3 consecutive elections. He's already been sworn in 3 times as Prime Minister, but if he does get sworn in a 4th time, it will be because he has led the JLP to 3 consecutive election wins, making him only the 2nd Jamaican Prime Minister to achieve this feat after Percival James Patterson.
Secondly, it will be significant. The PNP, led by Mark Golding, is pushing for a new direction, citing its 2024 local government election performance as proof of regaining credibility with the Jamaican people.
This election focused on many things, among them the issue of economic growth, development of infrastructure, and the management of crime, which the JLP have shown in their Book of Achievements. The PNP, meanwhile, has emphasized economic inclusion, housing, healthcare, and reforms to education.
This election will also be decided in approximately 20-25 marginal seats or swing seats, with the key battlegrounds in western parishes, including St. James, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. Elizabeth, as well as Manchester, Clarendon, and St. Catherine. Tonight, we'll have for you comprehensive analysis with public commentator Dr. Nadine Spence to my immediate left. To her immediate left, Kevin O'Brien Chang, also public commentator.
We also have with us social and cultural commentator Wayne Chen. We have senior journalist Desmond Richards and associate professor in the Department of Political Science and Policy Studies at Elon University in the United States, Dr. Damian Blake.
And of course, Blue Dot, our pollsters, are with us. Chief Consumer Insights Officer at Blue Dot, you know her now, Janae Stevens-Taylor. Blue Dot and consulting lead data scientist, Night Sky Data, Jahail Smith. They will help us to not only crunch the numbers, but also call the election. Janae Stevens-Taylor, what can we expect from you tonight?
Good evening, everyone. From us tonight, we're bringing you the numbers. Simply put, we know that once voting wraps at all of the polling stations, counting will begin. And the Blue Dot Gizada staff smartboard is how we're going to share those counts with the audience. And it's very interactive. So let's say we want to know what is going on in Northern Trelawney. We tap on Northern Trelawney. It's going to show us the total number of votes that have been registered for each of the candidates in that constituency. What you're seeing on screen now was from the previous general elections in 2020. So we have the board here that we now need to fill up for 2025. It is blank. It is not shaded any colors because we are patiently waiting for that data to start coming in from the EOJ. And that's just one part of what we have to do. We also have our consulting data scientist here tonight, Jahail Smith. You're going to hear from him in a short while. But Jahail is allowing us to up the ante in terms of the analysis that we're going to be sharing with the audience. First of all, we're going to be able to really harness the power of the historical election data to be able to identify those key seats. You mentioned them in your introduction, Cliff, but those are those seats that are really keen to watch tonight, and we'll show you the results in those seats as they come in. We'll also be able to zero in on our weather vane seats, Cliff, from our poll. We know what they are, and to remind the rest of the audience who may not be aware, these are Western St. Mary, Southeast St. Elizabeth, Southwest St. Elizabeth, and we've been able to identify these because they vote with the winner every time. That we got from the historical data. So we're going to be using all of that information to really share comprehensive insights and follow the numbers as the boxes are counted and closed.
And Jahail, you're going to be producing for us tonight a predictive model. Tell me about that modeling.
Right, so the history can only get us so far. We must look forward, and to look forward and predict, we have used the latest Blue Dot poll to augment the historical facts in order to come up with predictions and projections for seats. And so we're looking forward to see what can happen tonight as the counts come in.
Thank you, Jahail. And we also have a panel of youngsters. Yes, the politics is such now that oldsters like me have to give way to the youngsters, the new value system and dynamics that's emerging in the society. And part of that panel tonight, no stranger to us here at Nationwide, Saeed Bernard. Good evening, Saeed.
Good evening, Cliff. How are you? Hope everyone is well. Well, on this side, we are here and ready. The young people, they call us. As Cliff would say, the old is handing over to the youngins. Well, let's see. Well, I am Saeed Bernard, and of course, to my left is Suel Angling, a public commentator. And to her left is Joshua Atkins, another young man who is here willing and ready to share his views on what the elections have meant to him, what has he seen, what she has seen as well, coming up to September 3rd, and how they think it will play out. What were the calling factors? What pushed the young people to go out and vote? Cliff, I can tell you, while social media, tweeting and tattling does not count as a vote, we sure have seen a lot more young people coming out, at least from the social media, to say that they have been voting. Well, let's see if it makes a difference on September 3rd, 2025, today, this evening. Right back at you, Cliff.
Thank you. And we should also introduce to you Dr. Damian Blake, Associate Professor at Elon University. He will be joining the panel as well as Ronaldino McLean. Ronaldino McLean, he is an undergraduate student of political science and economics at Vassar College in New York. And on Zoom, we are going to be having well-known author and social and cultural commentator, Mr. Wayne Chen. Wayne, are you there? No sign of Wayne yet, but Wayne will be joining us. And of course, Sandre Roden will be alternating with Saeed Bernard. George Davis, you have been talking about your new surroundings, your set, yeah? Tell us about it, and I hear we have something called augmented reality, AR, tonight.
Yes, indeed. So I must, the viewers may be wondering why.
Oh, there it is, augmented reality. Oh, see them there?
The millennials and the thing are gonna laugh at you.
Saeed, you can't see from here. You have to look at the screen up there to see. Yeah, but so this is.
So you need to explain to us what is augmented reality with these two men.
So let me start with the set first. I mean, it's spacious. It's airy. It is the most modern television studio anywhere in the Caribbean. English speaking, francophone, Spanish speaking. Anywhere in the Caribbean you go and walk into a television studio, there is none that can touch this with a barge pole, and you know barge poles are long. We have all the technology here to make us a cut above the rest, and then when you put the talent that we have on top of it, it's almost a guaranteed thing. The augmented reality is a virtual feature. Now, Cliff wanted us to be able to talk to Andrew Holness or Mark Golding, depending on how the election goes, but we're not quite there yet, but we're going to get there eventually. But what will happen is that the figures you see, the gentleman standing on the stage later will be the winner. So we'll be able to project that image of Mark Golding or Andrew Holness in the way that we've displayed here as the evening grows old and the picture becomes clear in terms of where most Jamaicans have cast their ballots on this day of our Lord, September 3, 2025.
There are the two main contenders for power tonight, yeah? Mark or Andrew. Also, there's another element to the set. yes, that I hope our director is ready for us. If we were to say the JLP's candidate in central Manchester,
Rhoda Moy Crawford,
has won.
Yes.
Has retained her seat.
Yes.
What will happen?
Well, what will happen is that Rhoda Moy Crawford, well, we'll
Here
have...
it goes. Yes. You notice what is happening? It's turning green.
The lights.
Yes.
The lights. So if you look at under the Revo TV sign, because I know some of you maybe, there's so many colors, so it's hard to pick up, Cliff. So look at the studio. That's it. The lights all around have turned green, and that indicates that a seat has been called for a JLP candidate. Clearly, if the seat is orange, then the lights will be orange. So we have that added feature to jazz up the production that we're presenting.
There
Look,
it is.
You talk about the power struggle. There's the orange light. You talk about the power struggle, Cliff. I'm going to go one further to say that given that this is our debut show from what will be our home set, it's also an announcement to our rivals, the traditional TV powers, that we're coming for you. We have the talent, we have the technology, and we are coming. Usurp means to seize wrongfully. We won't usurp you because it's nothing that we're seizing wrongfully. We're coming to overthrow. And this is a message this evening. This is a democratic country. I exercise my democratic right today. Let me speak democratically. I'm sending a message that we are here and we're coming for the throne. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to take our first break. It is just about, what time is it?
It's 5:45.
5:45. We should start having some early results in another 15-20 minutes, okay? But let's take the first break. And of course, tell you, we're coming to you on Revo TV, yes? Right here, Revo TV, nationwide, election coverage, race to 32 on Revo TV. And of course, Revo, George, tell us about Revo.
Yeah, RevoNews.ai, that's the main portal, the website. The Revo app is also available through the popular places, the App Store and the Google Play Store. Revo is revolutionizing how you digest your news content, how you consume content. It is AI doing what you've seen AI in other people's videos doing. We are the first to introduce it. It's one of the kind in this hemisphere. Nobody can touch this, again with a barge pole, and it just makes the news offering so much interactive. Rather than being on a physical website, clicking away, clicking this, clicking that, you can ask a Revo to read the news for you in the voice of Cliff Hughes. Soon we'll be adding other of your favorite journalists to read each news story for you. If you want some history, you say, okay, Revo, tell me about Hurricane Charlie in 1950. It can do that. If you say, Revo, tell me about what happened with Louis Galdi in that famous earthquake in Jamaica, it can tell you what happened to Louis Galdi and how he survived, how the sea swallowed him up and spat him out. If you say, okay, how many people died in Hurricane Gilbert? What time did Hurricane Gilbert start affecting Jamaica in 1988, September 12? It can tell you that. It is revolutionizing the way you consume information. It's revolutionizing the way you learn, and it's giving you another tool to guide your youngsters and train them up in the right way, to tell them that being an intellectual is cool.
Okay, we're going to go to our first break. This is the Race to 32.
ready for something mega?
Spend $6,500 or more before GCT, drop your entry in the box and you can win a 2025 Hyundai Tucson. It's the Mega Wheels Tour promotion, April 5th to September 28th. Second prize, a $50,000 shopping spree every month for a year. Third prize, a $30,000 shopping spree every month for a year. Brought to you by Hyundai, Redstone, Heineken, True Milk, Grace, Walker's Wood, Downing, CPJ Daiquiri, and Carryburst. Choose Concentrate. Only at Megamart. Locations island-wide. Megamart. Best value by far. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Getting ready for school is as easy as KB. Shop at Kingston Bookshop between July 14 to September 6, 2025 for your chance to win big in our back-to-school promotion. Spend just $5,000 before GCT, shop online or in-store, and you could win $150,000 in cash, an HP laptop, or a Samsung Galaxy Tab A9. It's back to school the easy way, only at KB. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
As we enter the peak of hurricane season, don't let downtime disrupt your business. Digicel Business offers secure cloud storage and Jamaica's only Tier 3 certified data center, built to withstand storms and safeguard your data. With 24/7 monitoring, local hosting, and 100% uptime, your operations stay protected no matter the weather. Prepare now, protect what matters. Call Digicel Business Solutions at 876-469-2677 or visit digicelbusiness.com. Digicel Business Solutions. Stay online, stay protected.
Jamaica's largest house selection just got even bigger. Discover what's new at Active Home Center. With our latest arrivals, it's easier than ever to make your space truly unique.
Welcome back. It's 5:52 in Kingston, Jamaica. Wherever you are in the world watching us as we cover the race to 32, Jamaica's 19th general election, welcome to Revo TV. Yes, nationwide on Revo TV. We're also on the Digicel Plus platform on Channel 13. We're also streaming live on the Public Broadcasting Corporation of Jamaica. They're taking our feed. Also, if you're listening to us on More FM in Western Jamaica, all welcome. And from wherever you are in the diaspora, thank you so much for joining. On our YouTube channel, Nationwide 90 FM Live 2. Thank you all for making it right here, Revo TV and Nationwide. Well, the big news so far of the day, the election went fairly well. Yes, and that is relative, because we're learning tonight that the system did not perform well at all in terms of the pace at which people were able to vote.
But Cliff, before you take this up with our guests, I must point out, above that, a troubling report we got very late in the day. In fact, on my way here from studio, I had to dispatch a reporter to Kintyre in East Rural St. Andrew. There are reports confirmed by the police of a serious standoff between rival supporters, police involved. Unofficial reports, a policeman was struck by a supporter of, I don't know which political party, but in trying to intervene in that physical dispute. And the YouTube chat kept being flooded by messages from people telling me that this was in play. We checked with people who were in the vicinity, members of our team who said they weren't seeing anything. But by the time I came off air, I confirmed with the police that there was a serious situation in there. And I said, well, is it serious enough for me to send somebody? They said, well, that would be in your best interest to so do. Yeah. So we're waiting on that report from Kintyre in East Rural St. Andrew to see what was the cause, what sparked, well, more than a standoff. Blows were thrown, we understood, and a policeman may have been struck. Either inadvertently or I don't know, people lose their minds, but that's a serious one that we have to pay attention to as the evening progresses.
And Kintyre is significant because it's in East Rural St. Andrew. It's a battleground seat where the incumbent, Juliet Holness, is up against the young attorney at law from the People's National Party, Patrick Peterkin.
Yes.
Yeah, it is a real battleground. The opposition leader was in there.
Yes.
Throughout the day today.
And it's a division
tensions have been high.
And it's a division that was won by the PNP in the local government election.
Yes.
So they are looking to shore up their support there as they try to build enough votes across the constituency, the divisions, to take the seat from Juliet Holness. So that's something that we need a word on. Our producers are checking to see what the real situation is in Kintyre. But yeah, the system, and I'm sure Kevin and Nadine have something to say about the numerous calls I got while I was on here, and I'm sure you got them during your shift, about just how painstakingly slow. One woman told me, Dr. Spence, that she made an arrangement with her mother. She called me from Northwest St. James to say, okay, Mom, you go from 7 o'clock. You do the voting, come back, so I can go vote in Northeast St. Catherine. So she would take the bus, she says. So she was banking on her mother coming back. Maybe 10 o'clock worse, so she could make the bus journey. She said her mother came back after 12. The woman was in the line for almost 3 hours waiting to vote at PD 32 in the Rosemount Community Center in Northwest St. James. Just one of a litany of complaints about slow voting.
Yeah, I've been seeing the complaints. People have been in WhatsApp groups talking about standing in line for over 2 hours. Just some people talking about the election day workers seeming to not be able to manage the crush or to give the instructions with enough clarity or to move the process along quickly about the electronic voter identification
which had to be abandoned in at least one constituency because it was holding up the process.
Yeah, not going as well as people expected it to be. So I think I heard one particular person describe, when we were expressing concern about low voter turnout, saying it wasn't low voter turnout yet, it was slow voting that was perhaps impacting the scale of the voter turnout. So it has been concerning.
Yeah, but looking at the numbers, we reported at 5 o'clock that at 3 o'clock, according to the EOJ, the turnout was only 30%.
Yes.
Right.
At 3 o'clock, and it was 15% at 11 this morning.
Yes.
So it means that unless there's been a surge between 3 and 5 or now, it seems as if we're going to be just above where we were in 2020.
Well, I calculate, Kevin, that it will be above that because 2020 was 37% thereabouts.
37.8.
Yes, they're approximately 38. But the experienced watchers will tell you that between 2 and 5 is when the bulk of the voters come. And then you'd have, in some cases, which is unacceptable, hundreds trapped in the line at the 5 o'clock cutoff who have to be facilitated. And we were having a casual conversation earlier, Kevin, and we were talking about the voters list and the tidying up that needs to be done. But more importantly, what happens at the booth? There must be a way to streamline what happens at the booth because it's counterproductive.
Well, let me give you some figures. In 2020, there were 724,317 votes. So if you look at the EOJ list, and it's 30.41% of the 2,077,000. At 3 p.m., 631,859. So about 80,000 less. No, 93,000 less, and 2 hours to go. So it should surpass 2020.
But I think a lot
I keep telling people they're focusing too much on the registered voters. It's gone on massively, but a lot of those people only want the ID. So they keep talking about lower turnout. If you look at the history of Jamaica, on average of 31% of the population has voted since 1944. And I mean, the population age ups and down, right? We know that. But the only time we've gone above, we touched 40% once. And guess which year that was? 1980.
You mean 80%?
40%
of the
population.
On the population.
Not on the registered voters.
Population. Right. Because of 40% of the population voted in 1980. Right? But the average throughout our 8 years is like 31%. And a huge percentage of Jamaicans have never voted. And it's bounces up and down. It was 27% in 2020. But it's been lower. It was 25% in 1967.
But Dr. Spence, to pivot from what Kevin has said,
it's just a cultural thing.
But clearly, to me, we need then to have a different way of calculating what we consider to be voter turnout because it's painting a wrong picture.
Yes,
in the same way that based on what we were taught in school, and I assume all of us were taught the same, even though we're different generations. the use of the simple mean as an average is so misleading in many respects. And I don't want to stray too far from the point, but to highlight the point I'm making. In cricket, for instance, a man would have played, or a woman these days, would have played 100 matches, and you say their average is 53. Which, what it is saying to you is that each time this person goes to the wicket, they are likely to make about 53 runs, which is wrong. The average that you need to use is the mode. What is the score that they've made most frequently? So I'm saying that that difference in how you calculate this thing is necessary because, as Kevin said, and I really agree with that point of view, if you have 2 million plus registered voters, and then at the day you say, oh, voter turnout was 38% and this is the problem. That's not the problem. So you calculate the number of people who are actually on the voters list who intend to vote, who actually go and exercise their franchise. Right. Not a man or a woman who registers to vote because it's the only form of legitimate identification that they have in their possession.
I'll give you another statistic. Yeah. In 1989, 45% of the population was registered to vote. In 2020, it was 70%. So this number has gone up significantly. But who says they all want to vote? No, most of them want the ID.
I appreciate that argument as well. That in the
it's the ID they want.
It's, you know, we were having a conversation earlier and we were saying, you know, with needs, you know, when needs becomes active, with so many people register to vote, if it is that what people want is a national ID, and if it is that voter registration, what we're talking about, what you're essentially saying, George and Kevin, is that voter registration is not an indicator of voter
Absolutely
intent.
Not.
It's not. And what we are seeing more and more is that for a number of Jamaicans, this is not the case.
Yeah.
I also believe, perhaps because I have seen democracy. I remember some years ago I was in Prague, and one of the conversations that we were having in that is how the young people in Prague, present day, had totally turned their backs on the revolution and were not voting and had taken the revolution for granted. I had been in South Africa where that conversation was being had as well, about how as time progresses and as we move away from the point of the critical change to democracy, people had become kind of you know, just not interested in that part of the democratic process, which doesn't mean they're not interested in the democracy. They find voting a problem. So the question is, in this day and age now, what are the ways we imagine voting so that people do not feel as if they have to go stand up at a polling station in a long line for 2-3 hours?
But another part of it, lady and gentlemen.
That's an exaggeration, you know.
How?
A few people, a few places that had to stand up a long time. I can bet 95% of the places it was not long lines. We should not exaggerate the few difficulties.
No, but Kevin,
I had to wait no more than 5 minutes
hold
to
on,
vote.
No. Remember, we are front-facing, interfacing with the people who have these frustrations, and I'm telling you.
I'm not saying it's not important.
No, but
don't paint the wrong picture.
Don't. I appreciate the clarification, but it is important. But here's another part of it. The fact of the matter is, voting, even for some of us who are experienced campaigners, voting is still an intimidating process. And when you have election day worker inside the polling station who is first time, perhaps nervous, aligned with someone who is not as sharp as many of us, didn't have the ID, wants to be told slowly how to do what to do to make sure that they're getting things right, and the things have to be explained and everything else. This also retards the progress of all the vote. It can't be a disagreement. That's not an opinion, Kevin. It's a fact.
I took my daughter today for the first time to vote. It took her 5 minutes.
That's your daughter, Kevin. I'm saying, what about a 53-year-old man who can barely read? And that's real. When you talk, Kevin, when you talk to people who work inside these offices, we have a presiding officer in our newsroom was a former journalist, a former presiding officer. These are the stories they tell you about people coming to them, and you have to take time and walk with them through the things.
George, all I'm saying
the people
is,
who are the swearing and the attest and the affirmation, it takes time. It's a fact.
All I'm saying is, and I heard Horace Chang on this yesterday, the journalists, we have a wonderful democratic system, and some Some journalists, some people like to point out the 5% errors in a 95% good system. Let us acknowledge the goodness of the system first.
But the system is not.
I went there today to vote, 2 places, me and my daughter. It was wonderful. No the fair and easy. The
but that is counterbalanced by the people who went there and
yes, sir. And I'm thinking maybe 5%, about 5%.
It's more than that. It's more than that. It's just by our unscientific standards. It's more than that.
The few people are going to complain. The 95% are not going to complain. Don't paint the wrong picture for the public.
Kevin, it's not a wrong picture. It's a real thing. The 5%,
the 5%, yes.
Kevin,
is this how it's going to be tonight?
But Cliff, hold on, Cliff. Let the point be made. Kevin, you do not have the benefit of the interface that we do directly, cycle after cycle. You don't hear these messages repeatedly. So I can understand why you want to water down the complaint. It is a real thing that the interaction inside the polling stations, especially from those who don't have their IDs. Why do you think the EOJ is at pains? They send a clutch of press releases encouraging people to pick up their ID. Go to the EOJ office and regulate yourself, because they know the difficulty that causes on election day. Those are facts. It's not my opinion, sir.
And why don't people pick up their IDs?
Because they can't be bothered. Why have I not picked up mine since
So when I go there, I'm lazy and I go there and have to wait in line. Whose fault is it?
Picked up my ID.
Exactly.
Yeah, because
and most Jamaicans are like you. Yeah, and hence the long lines. And whose fault is it?
You're agreeing with me.
It's a lazy Jamaican's fault, not the EOJ.
Professor Damian Blake.
If they want to pick up IDs,
Kevin,
whose fault
must
is
I say
it, Judge?
order of time? Which one should I say? Professor Damian Blake and Wayne Chedd are online. We're introducing both those gentlemen to the discussion. Professor Blake, my friend, good evening, sir.
Good evening, George. Good evening, Cliff. Hi, Wayne. And your other panelists, Dr. Smith. Good evening. A robust discussion here about voter turnout. I think from what I've been hearing, I think that the problems with the identification, and so if you don't have an ID when you go in, you have to be fingerprinted, you have to do this swearing, this oath, and all of that. Those things slow down the process. But I think the larger point, though, is that voter turnout rates across the world have been plummeting, right? That's a kind of a global thing.
Yeah.
And, political scientists have been trying to figure out what it is. I think that it's the moment, we're in a moment now where a number of other things are pulling at the kinds of attention of people, particularly younger people. So I don't think that Jamaica is on a boat by itself, that globally there tends to be a decline in, voter turnout rates. Interestingly, the higher rates in voter turnout are on the continent of Africa, so places like Rwanda. Australia is kind of an outlier because they have mandatory kinds of voting there. But, I think to put it in context, I think that, it's a global thing. But I think the problems that we're seeing today with people not having their ID and the process, I think whether in some places, I saw comments from some people that there was rain in some places, that is slowing down the kind of people that are turning out.
Wayne?
I think there are multiple factors. Kevin made an excellent point earlier, which he has made before, that as a percentage of the population, that the number has not changed much over the years. There was a dip in 2020, the pandemic election, and there was a spike in 1980. And consistently, polls have shown that the most reliable voters are the older voters.
Not true.
I would say veterans of the 1980 election, and certainly veterans are having lived the experience of the ideological battle between the two major political parties. But among young Jamaicans now, there is a sense of complacency / apathy, that they don't really see any great distinction between the two political parties. So it would have to come down to popular candidates, and you see that in some constituencies where voter turnout is actually quite high, and you can tell that there are local factors involved. And I'm not talking about political garrisons, I'm just talking about hardworking candidates who happen to interface with a lot of people. You also have in Jamaica, I wouldn't say it's so much Rastafari, let me just put it this way, religious reasons or religious sentiment as to not deal with Babylon system. We're just not going to vote because it's not something that I'm going to deal with church, I'm going to deal with my own spiritualism or my own religion. So that is one of the factors. But also just inconvenience. Jamaicans tend to move around. Many have their votes in the rural parishes and have moved to St. Catherine or moved to Kingston. And it's not worth the headache to re-register or set up your address somewhere else. So as I say, it's just a combination of factors. A lot of it, as I say, is just apathy, lassitude, complacency, a feeling that my individual vote is not going to change anything. So as I say, it's a combination of factors. And apart from 1980 and 2020, the pattern has been pretty steady. The fact that we have 2 million registered voters now is more, as has been said earlier, a testament that the vast majority of these, since they are registered and they don't vote, I'd be surprised if the vote count today goes much over 900,000, which suggests that half the people who have registered didn't bother to vote. But we also know that there are many places in Jamaica where you can't do a transaction without a government-issued photo ID. The vast majority of Jamaicans don't have a passport or don't have a driver's license. So this is the only government-issued ID that they do have. So 2 million registering to vote is not 2 million intending to vote. My expectation today is just under 50% of that number, and perhaps as low as 40% of that number will actually cast their ballots.
Can I make a point here? There's a myth going around, repeated by everybody, about young people not voting. It is a myth. I got the EOJ statistics from 2016 and 2020. There are 5 categories of voters: 18 to 29, 20 to 39, 40 to 49, 50 to 59, 60 plus. The biggest chunk of that is 18 to 29, 22.2% of the total. So this myth that young people don't vote is not supported by the data. Right? And this is EOJ statistics, and people keep repeating it. Young people...
No, the real question is not whether it comprises 22% of the total, you know. What percentage of that demographic actually voted?
They've about 80%. If you compare it, older folks vote slightly more. Maybe 20% more and 20% less. But then there's not a huge gap. So the myth that young people don't vote is a myth. It is not supported by the data.
No, we didn't say young people don't vote, you know. We said that the most reliable pool of voters, and that is both
but the biggest chunk is the young voters.
And the data.
The biggest chunk is the young voters.
All right.
And I'm saying is...
Could we call a call out on this now? Because do we have early results, Janae? Do we have...
Yes, we do. The map is lighting up.
The map is lighting up, and this is what we must focus on for the next hour and a half, okay? What are the early results? We have Janae.
All right. So if we're looking at my map here, we're seeing some colors filling in on the screen here. To the viewers, where you see the color, that indicates the party that is ahead at this time. Now, this is very, very early days. So starting in the west, we have numbers coming in from Westmoreland Eastern, just a few boxes counted, and really only 6 votes separating Dayton Campbell from the JLP's candidate, Daniel Lawrence, in that constituency. So we're very, very, very early on. But
do we know how many boxes those are from?
What numbers?
Or what percentage of the vote?
Like how many votes?
That's not being registered just yet, but we can have an update for you the next time we go to the map.
For each?
Right, so in that seat there, 259 votes so far for Dayton Campbell, 253 so far for JLP's Lawrence. So early numbers coming in from that constituency there. In St. Anne Southeast, we're also getting some numbers there very, very early. This is just one box. So we're seeing 44 votes for the PNP candidate Russell and only 9 votes for the JLP candidate there, Peart. All right, if we go a little bit further east, all the way east to St. Thomas Eastern, we're also seeing some early numbers coming out. The PNP candidate is ahead right now with 201 to Dr. Michelle Charles 166, but again, very early numbers. These numbers are quite low. It suggests only a few boxes have been opened, but the map is starting to light up. And as we get more data coming in, we'll give further updates.
All right. So we're going to go now to the young people team, the panel of the young Jamaicans on their perspective on how the day went and this debate we have been talking about voter turnout. Let me hear it from the youngsters.
Yes, Cliff. You know, very interestingly, you see, you're over here laughing, and you're going to find out why soon. But
laughing at us?
Oh, absolutely not. Well, you were talking about myth, but I was wondering, like, why not just come to the young people and ask? Yeah, like, why not? So, Suel, first, let me start with you. This idea that young people aren't voting, what do you make of that?
I mean, I think based on what like a lot of the persons on the other panel have been saying, I think it's a lot of different things at play. I remember seeing a couple of people I know, saying that their votes, like they're registered to vote in other places that they grew up. Like I saw a girl saying that it's very hard for her to have to drive back to Negril and then come back to Kingston for work. So she did not vote because of that. So I think there are lots of different things at play that we need to take in consideration. But I do think in the last election and this one, even more for 2025, I think we are seeing lots more action from young people. They are saying a lot more of what they want. They're demanding a lot more. They're holding their MPs accountable. And I do think if you just look in the crowd, like from the rallies and stuff like that, we're seeing a lot of young people coming on. So I do think lots of things are at play, but I do see a lot more participation from us.
Okay, and Joshua, well, I just heard Suel saying, there are certain factors, but certainly they're coming out, they're holding people more accountable. What do you think has played that part in this election for more young people to be coming out this time around?
So I think firstly, there's a social media action that is happening amongst young people right now, particularly amongst the campus community. I go to the University of the West Indies, for example, and I see droves of university students like heading in buses, going down to their various parishes. Really? Yes, voting. My very good friend Matthew White, Xavier McFarlane are some examples of that, right? Nice. I think, one, that social media drive and push, engaging in politics, for example. I think it's been, a sort of conditioning by not only like a one group or one subsection of young people, which have influenced another subsection of young people. And I think social media has facilitated that. But I think as well, a lot of young people are becoming much more politically aware, right? I think a lot more people understand what it means to engage in their democracy, and I think that has come out of the campaigns, particularly through their slogans, "Choose Jamaica" or "Time Come."
Or "Time Come." Interesting. Quickly, from both of you, from what you've known, from what you've seen on the ground, what are the young people saying and expecting come later tonight? Start with you, Suel.
I mean, I think lots of like the party people, I think that's one thing. So there's lots of energy on both sides saying like their party will win or that sort of thing. I think a lot of young people too, which I found very interesting this election. I think 2020, maybe because it was COVID happening, I think people were more like on a vibes, because we weren't really outside. So like any little excitement, we just didn't want to that. Right. But I think this election, young people were evaluating. So like even in the debates, like Twitter was active. People were saying, oh, but what this person is saying doesn't sound like it makes sense and that sort of thing. So I think they are very engaged and listening to what the leaders are saying and questioning and evaluating those things for themselves. So I think young people are looking for those key things, like the employment issue is something that is still, very high up there on the list and things like that. So I do think we're looking for lots of different things depending on who you talk to and what side you talk to. But I think overall, I think what I have appreciated is how people have been listening and really paying attention to
and something came to mind that the oldies, as they call themselves, were talking about the ease of process. How did you find the process?
So in my constituents, that is St. Andrew West Central, when I went to the primary school, the process was fairly easy. The line was fairly short. It wasn't cumbersome at all, at least in my experience.
Very well. Well, So here you're hearing it, ladies and gentlemen. The young people have begun speaking. They're saying, well, there are a lot of issues at the forefront of the minds of people: employment, income tax, finances, the economy. A lot of people are thinking about healthcare. But you're also hearing that, well, the process, it was smooth, it wasn't cumbersome, somewhere in and out between 5 to 10 minutes thereabout. So let's see how things unfold. But what you're getting so far is the young people have been coming out to vote. It might not, or it is, we don't know, a myth that young people aren't voting. But certainly the data will come to the fore to tell us what exactly we're seeing. Well, that's it from us. We go to the break and we'll be right back with more.
This has to be the best kept secret in half a tree. You know that Chicken and Things serve the best Jamaican food from 6 a.m. till midnight, including Sundays. Yeah, man, and the price reasonable too.
And them chicken tastes good too.
For real. Chicken and Things, right on the clock in half a tree.
Jamaica's largest tile selection just got even bigger. Discover what's new at Active Home Center. With our latest arrivals, it's easier than ever to make your space truly unique. Explore ocean blues, botanical greens, and soft sandy neutrals that bring a calm, effortless vibe. From bold patterns to sleek, large format tiles in glossy or matte finishes, every room makes a statement. Shop now at Active Kingston and Montego Bay. Active Home Center. More savings, more choices.
Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited are authorized distributors of international brands ABB, Omron, STC, Festo, and Thomas & Betts. They supply programmable logic controllers, photoelectric and proximity sensors, contactors and soft starters, power supplies, variable frequency drives, and much more. Visit them at 24 Dunrobin Avenue, Kingston, or shop 32 Overton Plaza, 46 Union Street, Montego Bay, or visit their website cleasling.net. Cleasing Industrial Supplies for all your industrial automation and control solutions.
Enough power tool, big to small. Chaka my figure dig the wall.
Our Total Tools.
Please walk a figure trim the lawn. We have everything your job demand.
Total Tools.
We rent them, sell them and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When you say home improvement, landscape construction, or Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option. Total Tools located at 102 Main Street, Ocho Rios, 34 Slipe Road, Kingston, and Lot C6 Jackson, St. Anne's Bay. Call us today.
As we grow older, there are many challenges that we have to confront, but these years can represent the best in our lives. Coming of Age during Nationwide This Morning on Thursdays explores issues persons 50 and over confront. It also provides expert opinions on how we can improve the quality of our lives as we get older. That's Coming of Age, this and every Thursday during Nationwide This Morning at 6:51 a.m.
Do you have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton, weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
It's Monday, get over your blues. Or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The E-Zone is here for you. With the Stinger Honey Bee
and Karim Boyatings
from 3 to 5 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM.
We've got your entertainment news.
Then we want to hear your views. What you said?
Jump in the mix.
Or the hot seat.
Don't miss our brain busters.
Or the crazy giveaways.
Let's talk fashion.
Send us your outfit of the day. Ooh, cutesy. Very demure.
Are you looking for love?
Come on one of our blind dates. Send your request to ezone blinddates@gmail.com. That's ezoneblindates@gmail.com.
And stay tuned for your confessions.
These are my confessions. Share them with us at ezoneconfessions@yahoo.com. I mean, is this planet Earth?
Is it?
I don't know. Let me check. Either way, it's got a buzz.
And a bugger thing.
Ow! Ow!
Welcome back. It's 25 minutes after 6, and we have some results of the 2025 election. Some preliminary counts are coming in from the EOJ's dashboard, and let me give you a couple of those. St. Andrew West Rural, only 5.7% of the votes counted. So bear that in mind. Okay, only 5.7% of the votes counted in West Rural St. Andrew. The PNP's Joan Gordon Webley is leading with 483 to Juliet Cuthbert Flynn of the JLP 379. Okay, so that's in West Rural St. Andrew. The constituency which has had the highest number of votes counted so far is Clarendon Northwest. Clarendon Northwest, where 20% of the votes have been counted. And there, the PNP's Richard Azan is leading the JLP's Warren Newby. Azan leading with 1,499 votes to Newby's 931. Yes? All the other results, less than 5%. Yes? I think at 5%, we will start to give you some results. Everything else, less than 5% counted, yes? So of no real significance
And to put that into further context, Cliff, let's just tell the folks that based on what the EOJ just showed, about 8,000 votes across the island have been counted so far. Yeah, 8,000 across the island. I remind you that in 2020, 724,317 votes were cast nationally. So we are going to count at least 700,000 votes tonight, and we've only gone about 8,000. So these results are very, very early, and you should not be trying to draw conclusions from what we have presented thus far. Too early for that.
Too early. So we just put up Northwest Clarendon. There is Azan for the PNP, 1,499 on screen on your set. Yes. Azan leading. He's now winning 61.6% of the votes to Warren Newby's 38% at 931. And George, Kevin, let me put some context to this, because this is a seat we have been following. Clarendon Northwest in the last parliament was represented by Henriquez of the JLP. Yes, and it became an open secret that he was not performing as a member of parliament, and they drafted in young Warren Newby very late in the day. Yes, and it is felt that Richard Azan is the favorite tonight to pick this one up for the People's National Party. He has been an MP there for at least 2 previous terms. Yes, so he's expected to take that tonight.
Well, he's a favorite on paper. I remind the viewers as well that 22 of 108 of those boxes have been counted. So there's a long way to go. 22 of 108 Azan leading. In terms of Henriquez, Cliff, I think it's even more precise to say, rather than that he underperformed, he had no interest in the seat. Based on what people who live in Northwest Clarendon have said, Henriquez won the election in 2020 and went to Parliament for a few sittings, but he was never a man who intended to work the seat, to reward the people with services for having sent him to Gordon House in the first place. So it wasn't a case of a man trying and falling short. It was a case of a man who had dropped his hands and was not interested in representation. And that was apparent to the people who demanded that Party Central at Belmont Road give them somebody new, because they said anyhow Philip Henriquez was the man on the ballot going forward, then they wouldn't even bother to show up. So let's see what Warren Newby can do. But you're correct. Azan is the favorite in that seat.
Well, Manchester Central, that's what telling us?
6 of 139 boxes counted. Only 6 of 139.
Yes. So that is only 4.3% of the votes counted so far, right? 4.3%. I was hoping to keep it above 5% before we started to give you some results. But there's a seat here I'm seeing where it's over 5% of the votes counted so far. That's St. Elizabeth Northwest. 8% of the votes counted, and the JLP is leading with 338 to the PNP's 146, with 8% of the votes counted in St. Elizabeth Northwest.
The former haunt of J.C. Hutchinson, Andrew
Yes.
Morris, replacing him on the JLP ticket. Patricia Scarlett Forrester, the challenger for the PNP challenger, because it's not a PNP seat, not held by them in some time. 7 of 87. So, I mean, this is so early in the contest. But I see so many people on our YouTube stream, Cliff, calling for numbers, demanding numbers. So we have to feed them with numbers. But it would be foolhardy to attempt to make sense of a race in which only 7 of 87 seats have been counted so far.
Yeah. For example, in East Kingston and Port Royal, PNP safe seat, only 2.2% of the votes counted. And surprise, surprise, the PNP's Philip Paulwell is leading with 152 votes to Courtney Burnett of the Jamaica Labour Party, 8 votes. Yeah? That's what would prove the point.
Yeah, and what is curious about this, when Noragay Banton, our production supervisor, voted today, she voted in that constituency, that's where she lives. She says the disinterest of the JLP in this seat was evidenced by, I think she said there were no outdoor agents for the JLP there at the polling station that she voted at. That just goes to show you that the opposition, the JLP had written off East Kingston and Port Royal. It is alongside Central St. Mary, for me, the most orange of orange seats. Apart from 83, yeah.
Portland West, only 1.9% of the votes in, and the PNP's Doreen Campbell is leading with 75 to Daryl Vazi's 37.
More in context,
less than 2% of the votes counted.
Precisely 2 of 104 boxes in Portland Western in Western Portland have been counted. 2 boxes out of 104.
In Trelawney Northern, yes, only 1.4% of the votes counted. And the PNP's Wickham McNeil is trailing the JLP's Tova Hamilton. Tova Hamilton leading with 128 to McNeil's 51.
In North Central St. Catherine, we just got a flash there, North Central St. Catherine, well, if I got that graphic again, North Central St. Catherine is showing the PNP candidate leading in that one. No count yet from West Kingston.
North Central St. Catherine?
Yeah, what do you have there?
The JLP is leading with only 3.7% of the votes counted, 3.7. The JLP is leading with 176 to the PNP's 165. This is Natalie Nita Garvey's seat. Yes, that she's expected to carry comfortably. But with only 3.7% of the votes in, the JLP is taking an early lead. But that, as I said, we've been saying, no trend yet. No trend. Yes? Okay? And in St. Catherine South, that is Fitzjackson's seat. Fitzjackson, 4% of the votes counted. Fitzjackson is leading with 380 to 203 for Delroy Dobney for the Jamaica Labour Party.
6 of 150 boxes.
Exactly. All right? So those are some of the early results we have. The moment we get it updated, we'll give you some more of the results.
All right. So what we need to talk about at this point is not just the voting turnout, yeah, and not just the fact that there needs to be something. People talk about clean up voters list. I wouldn't put it like that. But there is no way that we can be satisfied with how the process went for so many people, notwithstanding that so many more had a streamlined experience. Fact of the matter is that we are dealing with an electoral process that has come such a far way that it is not too much to ask for the powers that be to sit down, look at the whole process again, and iron out the pain points, because there are pain points in it, and it would be selfish even as someone who does not have trouble inside the polling booth to believe that that is the majority and it's only a minority, so we should ignore the complaints from those who time after time have difficulty when they go to the polling station. There was one lady who called this morning who said she spent an hour in West Central St. Andrew. None of the 8 people in front of her went in. She left, and when she returned after 4, An hour had passed and she still had not cast her ballot, and she was going to stay with the process, and she would have been in the line by 5 p.m. and of course would have been under law required to be facilitated in casting her ballot. Cliff, what do you have? You have another number update?
No, not yet. Not yet.
You know what I'd like to, a statistic I'd like, George, from the EOJ. What percentage of people have picked up their voter cards? Because as I say, Jamaicans love to complain and blame other people.
That's right.
When it comes, the fundamental problem is their own.
That's right.
If everybody picked up their voter's card, the system would go much faster. So what percentage have picked it up?
Yeah.
Now, I know I have picked mine up. I lost mine years ago. But so when I go and have to wait, I don't complain.
Yes.
But yet some of these people, and I said it, Jamaicans, and I said EOJ isn't wrong in some aspects.
Yes.
But it's time, take some blame for the problem you're causing.
Wenchen, we often blanch at the term marrying. When you marry this good, marry that item to get them moving. But could we perhaps explore the EOJ marrying the voter ID card with something to ensure that more people collect them, lending itself to a smoother process at the polling booth?
Well, the fact that you need a card for many transactions suggests to me that many of the cards sitting there, and this is something perhaps for a future program, I don't think we have tracked the number of Jamaicans who have actually left the country. When I travel in the Eastern Caribbean, I see far greater numbers of Jamaicans there than any official figures suggest. And I suspect that the number in other jurisdictions tends to be high. Also, I adverted earlier to people leaving the parish of origin, whether Manchester, where I am sitting down now, and moving to St. Catherine or Kingston or St. James more and more for work, and just not bothering to go back to the local office to pick up the card. So it's multiple reasons. I think successive governments have done what is necessary in terms of requiring a government-issued photo ID for certain transactions. And if that is not sufficient spur, I don't think there's much else you can do at this point. Now, when we transition to the NIDS, the National ID Card, all of this discussion will become redundant.
Professor Blake?
Yeah, I agree with Wayne that, marrying with the NIDS is going to clean up a lot of that. But I'd like to talk a little bit about civic engagement. I think that there needs to be a kind of relook at civic engagement writ large. Because if people have the IDs and they don't pick them up, they went through the process of trying to get them, they didn't pick them up, right? Then that is saying to me that there's something deeper than just getting the IDs, that the civic engagement, the act of actually going into the polling area, there's a disconnect there. And so, both political parties, they do a lot in terms of their campaigning and they're drumming up support in the base. But, there needs to be, I think, a more sensitization around the value of civic engagement and people's kind of responsibility in being a part of the political process. And on the youth panel, they talked about the different ways that young people, for example, are engaging in politics, right? And with social media, they are letting their voices heard in those kinds of ways. But the way that really matters is actually casting the ballot. And I think that, education, I think, academics, the school system, that we all have a role to play in going back to that old school fundamental civic engagement. We have to do that.
The dark arts, gentlemen, were at play in this election campaign, especially in the last days. And even today, the FID had to issue a statement saying that a message being circulated on social media about the entity recommending that the Prime Minister be charged for serious crimes was false. Then we heard the police issuing a statement to say that a bomb threat at a BPO off Port Henderson Road in Portmore St. Catherine was being dealt with, that the staff had been evacuated and that they were attending to it. Then we saw, at least in one constituency, where a candidate was reporting that her team felt intimidated inside a polling area where rival supporters had blocked the roadway, preventing vehicular traffic from coming through, and created an artificial bottleneck to prevent people from coming in. Then you had a series of coordinated bomb, which they turned out to be bomb hoaxes late last week as the security forces and election day workers went out to vote. Given where we are coming from, should we be concerned about the dark arts rearing their their ugly head again? Or given where we're come from, where the violence was rampant, especially in the 80s, we should look at this and say, well, this is tame compared to what obtained back in the day, so it's not necessary to pay much attention. Wayne, I want to hear you first.
Any sort of mischief like this ought to be condemned and certainly removed from our electoral process. But it's really petty and mild stuff compared to what has happened in the past. There have been one of the successes of Jamaican institution building has been in the building of our electoral system, which has really gained credibility over the years. The EOJ has done a terrific job. The creation of what we have now is really world-class and better than many so-called first world countries. What you outlined today is really nothing new. A decade ago, I knew of instances where strange men on motorcycles would ride into certain communities and perform all sorts of acrobatics on their bikes in the middle of the night to intimidate people to stay home. People would be... intimidation, I don't see today at the same level as I would have seen 40 years ago. Nowhere. We haven't had any instances of violence, people being attacked or harmed for their political views or their voting patterns. In fact, this election, 2025, I've seen more people in orange and green mingling on the road than I've ever seen in any general election in this country. We have matured terrifically as a country. And the little, sorry, I don't want to minimize what you have said in any way, George. But over the years, I've spent time almost as a confessor to hear some of the tricks that political activists of all stripes have done over the years. I've heard people laugh and remember how they sabotaged a whole political party's communication system by literally chopping down antennas and destroying. This is pre-cellular phone days.
Yes.
So the sort of acts of sabotage that I have had people tell me about directly, the acts of intimidation, the acts of violence, because I've interviewed many, many Jamaicans over the years. This generation of young Jamaicans would not have any concept of where we are coming from, apart from hearing about it in the historical context. But what I saw today, and I drove around quite a bit, was a lot of intermingling, a lot of camaraderie on the road, which is really, really good. I mean, as somebody who has been in the witness this process since 1972, it's the best I have ever seen it. But of course, we'll condemn any trickery and flimflammery. But where we are today is a far cry from where we're coming from.
And so should we be more accepting, Kevin? And should we say, well, the things that have cropped up, that I've listed, are not so serious, given as Wayne said, we were dealing with far more serious things not so long ago?
We can walk on sugar, and as Dr. Horace Chang said yesterday, I heard him, we need to celebrate our democracy more. We have a wonderful democracy. This election is unquestionably the best in our history. I was voting today and the two rival camps are laughing and joking with each other. We're the envy of much of the world. So to let a few instances of skullduggery blank out the 95% good. Of course, if you don't stamp out the skullduggery, it will grow. And it's like a cancer, you got to cut it out and kill it. But let us celebrate how far we have come. And this is one of my problems with the Jamaican media. They often focus on 5% of negativity, and if 95% positivity is just not paid attention to. And we need to let people know how special our democracy is. I'll give you one special aspect of it.
Yes.
We have a white man, full British Jew, leading a 95% black country. And it's not even thought worthy of comment.
Yeah.
Nobody considers it an issue.
Yes.
Now in the rest of the world, it's unthinkable.
Yes.
Yeah, you have a minority leaders, but they always think, what does it mean and all that?
Yes.
Nobody's asking what it means because it's taken for granted.
Yes.
You know, so we need to look at the positives and tell people, let them understand. The Jamaicans have a very negative view of politics, naturally because of what happened in the 70s and 80s, a close civil war. We've come a long way, but unless the media tells them and educates them, they're going to have a negative view of politics continually.
Well, we have some more numbers. They're not coming up on the smart board yet from the electoral office. But, you know, I have sources all over the country, right, who are inside the preliminary counts.
Oh, my gosh.
And in West Central St. James, a seat that we were speculating before the elections is going to be a toss-up. Marlene Malahoo Fort and Dr. Andre Horton. Well, 12 boxes counted. Malahoo Fort has won 9 of the 12 boxes. Andre Horton has won 3 of the 12 boxes. For example, at the preliminary count in PD20, Malahoo Fort won 55 votes to Horton's 47. In PD40A, Malahoo Fort gained 50 votes to the PNP's 33. And also in PD16, JLP edged out the PNP 49-45. In PD41A, Malahoo Fort won that comfortably with 92 votes to the PNP's 59. PD54, she gained 93 votes to the PNP's 73. PD21, 58-41 to Malahoo Fort. Yes? PD53, she won 83-63. Still early days, 12 boxes, yes? But the EOJ website is saying only 3.8% or just about 130 votes counted. Yeah? If you can bring that up for me. That's what they're showing there on the St. James West Central site. 2 of 106 boxes. Well, by my traditional method, when I came into journalism, this is how we used to do it. You hear, you smart young people?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
This is how we used to do
Back
it.
in my day. You should tell the folks, though, and I'm looking at the same numbers you have here, that the numbers on the board just now are well behind the numbers you gave. So you have the more advanced numbers that the smart board gave.
Yes.
I can also tell you that in Northeast St. Andrew, Cliff, Northeast St. Andrew.
Stacey Knight versus Delroy Chuck.
Yes. PD 16, 145 for Chuck, 28 for Knight. PD 64, 70 for Chuck, 32 for Knight. PD 65, 55 for Chuck, 119 for Knight. 66, PD 66, 119 for Chuck, 23 for Knight. So of the 4 PDs that we're looking at, Knight won one of those, PD 65. The other 3, Chuck, with daylight between himself and the attorney at law.
What do you make of that one? The PNP has been talking up the chances for Stacey Knight, saying that she's going to create an upset.
65-32. When you have a 2-to-1 ratio, it's hardly likely when you swing it unless Chuck did something terrible. People are comfortable with him for years as an MP. Why should we suddenly vote this guy out?
Well, we don't know.
And there's no compelling reason.
Yeah.
I would be stunned if Chuck lost.
I hear we have a live feed from Belmont Road and from the EOJ. Let's check in with Belmont Road to see what the mood is like as the Team JLP, led by the leader, the Prime Minister Andrew Holness, settle down. And we understand that they're watching this coverage of the election results show. Can we make that link with Belmont Road, the JLP's headquarters in St. Andrew? Good afternoon. All right, just a moment before we get that ironed out. Belmont Road, we understand that the Prime Minister did his tour of the corporate area early today and retreated to his election centre. The opposition leader did the same. Around about 3 o'clock, he ceased his activities on the road and went to the PNP's Old Hope Road headquarters. So both men going to their bases with time to spare to get a sense of the national picture and wait for the official numbers to match what their canvasses across the 63 constituencies would have told them about the likely direction of the election. Do we have that link ready yet with Belmont Road? All right, we don't have that link.
Did Horace Chang promise you some numbers?
Well, he didn't promise me some numbers.
I heard him promise you one seat count.
He did say he'd have numbers ready for the media. Did say that he'd have numbers ready for the media.
He said it back at 5 with a seat count, sir.
That's right.
I heard him clearly.
And he said late after 4 that based on what he was seeing, that they were ahead. And I'm certain that if we had spoken to the JLP, the PNP General Secretary at that time, he would have said the same thing, that his numbers were showing him and the PNP well ahead. Dayton Campbell with skin in the game. He is in Eastern Westmoreland. So too Dr. Horace Chang in Northwest St. James. May I ask Saeed and the youngsters, to opine on where the health of the democracy. Issues that have been reported by the media. Kevin always talks about the media focusing on the bad things, the few bad things, but if we don't, people say we're suppressing information. So Saeed and his panel, the issue of voter suppression and intimidation these days, are we to treat them seriously or as just political gamesmanship, given the horrid and the torrid past that we've had politically where elections are concerned?
Well, I don't even need to repeat that question. Let me just straight directly to Joshua. What do you think?
Yeah, I personally don't think Jamaica will go back to the bloody election of the 1980s, specifically 1980. I think we're at a point where a majority of people are willing to not only engage across the aisle, but aren't like locked into that mindset like decades ago, right? I think large portion of the voter population, that being younger persons as well, aren't locked into I was raised in a JLP family, therefore I will vote within a JLP, like on the lines of JLP, right? And I think that's one of the causes of that period of contention between both parties. It was just blind following. But I think more people are mindful, first of all, and I think we've gotten to a point where we'll never see people, shooting you because you're voting JLP.
All right. Well, Suel, we were talking earlier about the role that education has to play in this. As young people, we are going to university more. We are, buying more cars, going into more professions and all of that. And Sue laughs because, the last time she said it, the comments weren't so good. So I'm putting her on the spot here again. Does that help to delay or to mitigate against the impact of voter suppression and those other dark tactics that they talk about in impeding younger persons in going to the polls?
Yeah, I think we're in a different era. I think what was said a while ago, I think we're not so locked into that kind of tribalistic kind of politics that we grew up in. And I grew up in East Kingston, and I tweeted today when I went to vote and I was driving home, I tweeted today that it's the first in a long time I'm driving on Mountain View on an election day, and I see people in green and orange clothes, talking, riding on the same bike and that sort of thing. And I was like, as a little girl growing up in East Kingston, like my mother was a victim of violence when I was small. So I don't see us going back to that stage. And I think one of the other things that we need to be aware of too is with the reduction of crime. I think people are sort of thinking twice before you do something stupid nowadays, because if you do something and it goes on the internet in 24 hours, the police are going to find you. So I think those little things, I think we're in a different environment now, and I think people are not so quick to go to that extent to prove a point or that sort of thing. So I don't see us going back there, but I do agree that these little things that we've been seeing, like the people calling people not to vote for this party or, to stay home, I do think we should absolutely make it clear that we are not standing for something like that.
Okay. And quickly, who do you think is more nervous? The politicians or the voters? As a matter of fact, let me throw a third party into that, if they permit me. Do you think the pollsters are also nervous? So who do you think is most nervous? The politicians, the voters, or the pollsters? One has it a 10-point gap, one has dead heat. Who do you think is most nervous? One word. Politicians, the voters, or the pollsters? Joshua?
Voters.
The voters. So,
Politicians.
the politicians. Yeah, I think I agree with you.
You have to just go pollsters.
I must go pollsters. Stick with me, and when I come back, I'll give you my answer. Who is most nervous?
Thank you, Saeed. Just before we go, the results, the counts coming in very slowly from the Electoral Office of Jamaica. We have just had some new numbers from Westmoreland Central. Westmoreland Central. That's George Wright for the JLP, the incumbent, versus Dwayne Vaz for the PNP. But much, much too early. Only 1.2% of the votes counted in Westmoreland Central, and the JLP's George Wright is leading with 101, yeah, or 57% to Vars's 74. Also, very, very early, yes, a result coming in from St. Elizabeth Southwest. That's Floyd Green seat versus Miranda Wellington. Floyd, with less than a percentage of the boxes counted, has taken an early lead with 71 to Miranda Wellington 16. Those are the two new counts we have had in the last several minutes.
And we're stretching it to say it's a count because it's only one of 113 boxes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I can tell you, though, before we go to the break, that where Central Manchester is concerned, looking at some numbers here, PD 111, we showed you an earlier graphic which showed Crawford with a marginal lead very, very early in the race. Two more PDs, information from two more PDs. PD 110, Crawford had 51 votes in that PD. Mitchell 52, so a 1 vote differential in PD 110. And then PD 111, Crawford 71, Mitchell 54. Yeah? And PD 18 in West Central St. Andrew. West Central St. Andrew, PD 18. The results coming through now. PD 18, Marlene Malahoo Fort, 92 votes.
West Central St. James.
West Central St. James, okay, pardon. West Central St. James, Marlene Malahoo Fort, 92 votes. Dr. Andre Horton, 50 votes in PD 18 in West Central St. James. Then in PD 20, they've declared PD 20 in West Central St. James. 55 votes for Malahoo Fort. 47 for Dr. Horton. Then in 40A, Malahoo Fort, 50 votes, Horton, 33. PD 16, Malahoo Fort, 49, Horton, 45. 41A, Malahoo Fort, 92, Horton, 59. And some of these votes, Cliff gave them already, but I can tell you that PD 53, the newest one to come through, Malahoo Fort, 83, and Andre Horton, Dr. Andre Horton, 63. This is West Central St. James.
So still too early. We're going to go to our next break and come back with more.
No matter who you are or where you're heading, your journey matters.
With Amber On Time, experience seamless fast booking, real-time tracking, reliable drivers, and top-tier safety features. Share your trip with loved ones for peace of mind.
With Hawkeye-powered SOS, armed response is just a tap away, because every second counts in an emergency.
Trusted by thousands across Jamaica, Amber On Time is more than a ride. It's your partner on the road.
Amber On Time. Your ride, your safety, your Jamaica. Download the app today.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies, including plugs, switches, panel boards, and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer, and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
This is the World Championships Athletes Profile.
Step forward now. Tina Clayton it is. Tina Clayton has been readying it up.
Tina Clayton heads to her first World Senior Championships as the national champion of Jamaica.
Bang out quickly. Fraser Price is out well. So to Tina Clayton. Tina Clayton comes forward. So to the Sharika Jackson. Tia puts up. Tina's still there. Tina Clayton. Sharika Jackson and Shelly and Fraser Price. Tina Clayton gets the win this evening.
An injury-ravaged 2024 forced her to sit on the sidelines and watched as her twin sister Tia captured the headlines at her first global event, the Olympic Games in Paris. Tina is without question at the forefront of a group set to take Jamaica's female sprinting into the future.
Well, every athlete who wears that yellow vest in the sprints for Jamaica carries a certain responsibility, and at the moment Tina Clayton's carrying it very well, that she's a metre clear of the rest.
There can be no better place to start than at the World Championships. In addition to beating the likes of Shelley and Fraser Price and Shericka Jackson at the Nationals, Tina finished a creditable second at a meet in Hungary against world-class field. Tina has got the two premier female sprinters in the world today in her sights, Melissa Jefferson-Wooden and the Olympic champion Julian Alfred.
To stay healthy, that's the main focus for me. I feel really great, and I think everything that have happened this year is based on the setbacks that I had over the years, and sometimes, you know, when things ain't going right, you want to give up, but there's always a little voice to not give up.
The 20-year-old bows into action on the first day of competition in Japan.
Clayton there in lane 5. God bless, got away well, but now Clayton's well into a running. Jackson's got something to do, but it's going to be Clayton who's running away from the field, and she's won this in emphatic fashion.
You can follow her progress on Nationwide 90 FM.
That was the World Championships Athletes Profile.
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, "By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path." Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis. Weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of the Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
Not a mercy. This one is very classic, dedicated to all the schoolers who are taking beats.
If you've ever struggled to pass an exam, then you'll know that students today are under great pressure to get good grades and secure qualification needed to move on to higher education. The problem is that too many students are struggling alone and could really benefit from connecting with hardworking teachers and other bright students in other parts of the country and the region. Join me, Dennis Brooks, this and every Friday evening from 8 to 9, with a repeat on Saturday morning from 8 to 9. For the A-Team, a study group on radio, my team of teachers, students, and experts will break down the syllabus, giving you information, tips, and past paper questions that will help you get top grades in your upcoming exams. Follow us on Facebook Live and on Twitter and be a part of the community. It's the A-Team, Fridays at 8 p.m. with a repeat at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's your free extra class on radio and social media. And it's right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
Us here at the Election Center as we cover the general election of 2025, the 19th since 1944. It's the race to 32, and we're getting very preliminary numbers coming through from right across the island. Too early to make any determination as to where particular seats are going. We have like 2 of 108 boxes, 5 of 106, that kind of thing. But we're giving the numbers to you as we get them. We have Wayne Walker, our man on location at the EOJ's Election Center on Red Hills Road. Wayne, good evening.
Good evening to you, George.
All right, what's the action like where you are?
Well, what we have here, I might have to turn because the result dashboard is away to my left. And what we have on the result dashboard and the progress report is pretty much what you guys have there in studio. The PNP is leading in 12 constituencies, the JLP in 11, and the last update was at 704. It's slow in coming, as Cliff mentioned. The highest number so far in terms of the box counted, the Clarendon Northwest, 20% of the boxes counted, and the 1,499 to Richard Azan, 931 to Warren Newby. There's also the St. Andrew West Rural constituency, where we've got, 6% of the boxes counted, and Juliet Cuthbert Flynn from the JLP, 379 to 483 for Joan Gordon Webley. And the Director of Election just stepped in here. We don't have the situation to talk to him, so might have to put him in the seat and let you have a chat to them guys back in studio. But it's early days yet. It's slow in coming in terms of the update. I've seen this update. Well, it just said it was updated at 7:05, but we've seen these numbers for a little while now, and we'll just have to be working with them. There's another constituency that I'm really, really looking forward to tonight, the Westmoreland Eastern, where the General Secretary of the People's National Party, Dr. Dayton Campbell, is down there running for that seat. It'd be very, very interesting to see how that one goes. The Kingston Central seat also is going to be a one to watch tonight. I was down there today and it was all action with Donovan Williams defending his seat against the newcomer to representational politics, Steve McGregor. So yeah, generally we've seen these numbers up for the longest while. Not so sure why they've not changed as yet, despite it says it was updated last at 7:06. So the PNP, they're leading in 12 constituencies, the JLP in 11 of them. And that's pretty much what's happening here. I mean, a lot of media representatives are here.
Wayne, may I ask you, Wayne, may I ask you,
Yes.
well, not that it is pointing to anything significant, but I just want to get an idea of the progression of the count. Based on what you have and what you're seeing on the board, is it only one seat in which any of the candidates there has breached the 1,000 vote mark? And that is in Northwest Clarendon, Richie Azan, am I correct?
Easily. And the closest to that, just to put it into context, the closest to that is 443. The last time I looked at 483, and that was in St. Andrew West Rural. Yeah, it's the same one as Juliet Cuthbert Flynn and Joan Gordon Webley. So yeah, by miles, the 1,000 mark has only been breached only by the Azan newbie situation down there in Clarendon Northwestern.
Yeah, and I can tell everybody, because we've been having some challenges here, it's not a secret to say, and I've just confirmed that the major internet providers are having challenges. I've just seen people sending me screenshots of their TV where they're getting a message. For instance, Digicel Plus is saying some customers may have experienced difficulty browsing the internet or noticed degraded TV service over the past few hours, and the teams are working on it. And you get that perpetual circle moving to indicate that there are internet problems there. My own home, they're not able to watch the coverage because there's no internet service there. And again, it's the same message that is there. So internet outages across parts of the corporate area, compromising work that the internet, of course, facilitates happening in quick time.
Very good point. Very good point, because we experienced it along the journeys that we traversed today, covering the elections, and of course some of the polling stations that we visited were having internet problems as well. I just didn't know it spilled over into the counting as well.
Well, guess what, Wayne?
Why are they taking so long?
Well, guess what, Wayne? You're going to be even more important to us tonight, because we're going to have to come to you at regular intervals, given that it's not our own system here, our own internet. It's a citywide issue. We're going to have to lean heavily on you to give us those updates as that board is refreshed significantly. You said the last refresh was at 7:05, 4 minutes ago?
No, 7:08. It's showing 7:08, and the numbers are still the same.
Still the same.
If you see me looking away, the Director of Elections is here, Glasspool Brown, and he's going to be walking into our shot. We don't have the situation where we could talk back to him. So, another media house has grabbed him. He has decided to talk to us, and if you hold a bit, we probably could grab him for a couple of seconds, because we really want to hear from him. But yeah, we're clearly experiencing some internet issues here, while the numbers are not turning over as quickly as they ought to. But yeah, quite an interesting night so far. I mean, nothing yet, is very early days, but it's still very, very interesting. I mean, for those who are at home and not been able to watch it. I really, really pity you because it's an interesting night. I'm sure people spend months looking forward to.
Wayne, I can give the viewers some numbers coming in from central Manchester. PD 57, Rhoda Crawford 41 votes there, Donovan Mitchell 107. PD 78B, Crawford 28, Mitchell 56. PD 78A, Crawford 34, Mitchell 63. PD 46, Crawford 80, Mitchell 58. PD 47, Crawford 46, Mitchell 93, and PD 24B, Rhoda Crawford 58, Donovan Mitchell 59, and I just got a new entry here, PD 24A, Crawford 39, Mitchell 59. So from these numbers, it does appear as if Donovan Mitchell has poached a lead over Rhoda Crawford in that race in central Manchester at the early stage in the counting. I'm getting
Another
some...
one of
Go ahead, Wayne.
No, I was just telling you, it's one of the constituencies I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to about 9 or 10 with more interest than I would for the others. And Central Manchester with Rhoda Moy and Donovan Mitchell is certainly one of them.
Yes, I can also give you some numbers, Wayne, and panel from Central Kingston. PD 45, Donovan Williams 34, Steve McGregor 1. PD 54, Donovan Williams 102, Steve McGregor 8. PD 58, Donovan Williams 116, Steve McGregor 5. These PDs seem to be in the strong JLP areas, which explains the chasm between the numbers for the respective candidates. In competitive PDs, they will be close. So that's an indicator that these are PDs in strongholds for the person leading. Cliff.
And just let me tell you, I've just had a statement from Digicel saying, dear valued customers, on this important election day for Jamaica, we have experienced another act of deliberate vandalism to our connectivity partners network. A small minority has disrupted essential services and critical communication channels at a time when national connectivity is most needed. According to Digicel, it condemns this criminal action in the strongest terms. The targeted damage has interrupted home internet, mobile, and TV services for a number of customers. These acts not only inconvenience individuals and businesses, but also undermine economic activity and public safety. According to Digicel, their engineers and technical teams are working continuously to restore services as quickly and safely as possible. At the same time, they are cooperating fully with law enforcement authorities to ensure those responsible are identified and prosecuted, and they apologize to their customers for the disruption.
Yeah, confirming that acts of sabotage have compromised the internet service. Wayne, I understand that the Director of Elections has taken your chair. The Director, good evening, Glasspool Brown.
Good afternoon to you and your listeners.
Based on the reports from your team, how was today?
There were some challenges, but if you assess us in terms of all the criteria that you use to assess a good election, I think we did a good job.
And the pace of voting so slow, how could you end up describing it?
There's some issues in it. There were some issues in terms of pace. We are going to do the assessment and to look at all the factors that would have contributed. But one of the major factors, Cliff, that would have contributed, a number of our persons continue to come to the polling station without their renewed ID card. And you had to go through a longer process in terms of taking the load, etc., etc. And what you find also, a number of persons turn up very early in the morning, and it creates a little pressure on the system. If you went to most of the polling station after 2 p.m., it's that easy walk through the polling station. So all that in terms of the orderliness that would have been good for us in the morning was not there. So but as I said, we are doing our assessment. We do in terms of what transpired today, and then we'll review it, and then we'll see where we would have gone wrong.
You have been pointing out, Mr. Director, throughout the day that if people are in line at 5 o'clock, they will be allowed to vote. Yes? Tell me, what is your report in terms of polling stations going beyond 5 o'clock? Have you had several of those polling stations opening beyond 5 o'clock to help those people who have been inconvenienced who were in line?
Everybody that was in line at 5 p.m. were allowed to vote. Certainly, based on our data, by 6 o'clock, a little bit after 6, most police stations were closed.
But they were in a position and continued to facilitate people well into the evening, not after 6 o'clock, is a question I'm asking. Because we're getting reports, some people who are saying it is taking them an hour and a half. Oh, we lost him. Sorry about that.
All right, so I'm trying to do a tally here of some numbers because I'm getting more numbers out of Central Manchester. And I think I have 6 PDs now out of Central Manchester. And to give the complete picture, I might have to go through the 6 again. So PD 24A, Rhoda Crawford 39, Donovan Mitchell 59. PD 33, Crawford 101, Mitchell 42. PD 16, Crawford 71, Mitchell 68. PD 66, Crawford 97, Mitchell 61. PD 13A, Crawford 33, Mitchell 92. PD 13B, Crawford 27, Mitchell 95. PD 51, Crawford 56, Mitchell 36. PD 36, Crawford 85, Mitchell 47. PD 65, Crawford 55, Mitchell 66. PD 101A, Crawford 31, Mitchell 77. PD 26, Crawford 86, Mitchell 45. PD 102, Crawford 23, Mitchell 75. PD 101B, Crawford 29, Mitchell 70. PD 18, Crawford 62, Mitchell 44.
George, the question is, our viewers can't add up those, you know.
So why you not add them?
Me can't add them.
All right, you want to do the numbers and add them for you? I can't. I'm going to tally them. I was hoping that your interview with the director carried, so I'd get the chance to tally the numbers. I can also
we need to know what they mean.
Yeah, but hold on, Cliff. I can also give an update on Central Kingston. Fret not, our listeners are very bright people and viewers. Let me do Central Kingston again because I've gotten some more information. So PD 45, Williams 34, McGregor 1. PD 54, Williams 102, McGregor 8. PD 58, Williams 116, McGregor 5. PD 57, Williams 181, McGregor 8. PD 55A, Williams 103, McGregor 9. PD 55B, Williams 115, McGregor 4. Across these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 PDs, McGregor has not gotten more than 9 votes in any of the 9 PDs. And Williams' scores 34, 102, 116, 181, 103, 115. So Williams is poaching a big lead before the expected flood of McGregor boxes in the PDs coming. I'm
Jenny, can we turn to you at the smart board? Any numbers yet? Oh, the internet has affected us here. Yes, we have no internet here, and it's really affecting our ability to tabulate and to really make use of the smart board.
Here's what I'm going to do. I think we should throw to Sondre and his panel, and then we have a chance to tally what we have so far based on the traditional way we get information as journalists.
Yes.
So Sondre Roden is on point, and he's hanging with 2 of his friends. Sondre, I guess the question to ask is the pain points that to this minute are frustrating people in line at polling stations to vote. How do you suggest that the EOJ conquer a problem that has bedeviled elections of the past?
Well, that's a good point, George, and it's good to be here with all our viewers and listeners. With me, I have Suel, that has been here with us from earlier, and Descartes Diego, a very interesting name, if I may say so myself, and he's here as well as a part of Jade. I heard Cliff talking earlier with the Director of Elections, and the Director of Elections said it was a good day, but I have my concerns, George. I was in line for about 2 hours and 30 minutes, in line for 2 hours and 30 minutes. And that is concerning. That's concerning to me. That's concerning to other persons that I heard about in different spaces in Trelawney, etc., that had similar circumstances. And that in and of itself is a challenge. So, how do we fix this?
I mean, I think it has to be a multi-pronged approach. I think, and when I went to vote this morning, I also had some issues with the fingerprinting thing. I kept printing it. They had to wipe it with alcohol. Like, nothing they did worked. until all of a sudden, out of nowhere, just started working. So I think going into these things, we need to make sure that things are prepared. And I know when it comes to electronics, the least thing can throw things off. So I think we need to be testing these machines way before we go into the actual day. I think some of the other things that I heard people talking about too was that a lot of the workers weren't really aware of the process. So I'm not sure what the training that went into, the day happening. So I think there are lots of things that were at play. And I think just the little details, like just little comfort things that we can do. If we know that there's a station where the inside is small, so people will be gathering outside a lot. Maybe add a little tent, some chair, just little things that we can do to, even if you have to wait a long time, at least I'm sitting down, at least it's a little shade. So I'm not just standing in the sun. So I think there's lots of little detailed things that we can do where even if the technology part of it is failing, at least people are comfortable with it.
Well, I was standing in the sun. Diego, what would you say to the EOJ about the long wait that some people would have had to experience?
Right. So I think, speaking from experience, what I experienced today, I went to the polling station, and something that I noticed is that there are a lot of elderly persons at the stations. A challenge is that there isn't enough persons there to assist them in getting their ballots, space, as she said, to sit. These are some of the issues that they had. So I think there needs to be requisite a suitable amount of persons allocated to assist these kind of persons, because we talked about younger